My shop has undergone some major changes, and it starts right here with these shop cabinets. In this video, I'm gonna build these things, take some risk, and go with a bold design. What do you think? Let's get started. I really feel like I'm at a pivotal point in my woodshop journey. You can't see it now, but this shop has developed from, let's say, an annoying teenager to a distinguished young adult. But it all happened in small, calculated steps. Of course, to start, I had to do some prep work like clear out the area where you are about to see me install these cabinets, remove the electrical outlets, and wipe down the dust from the walls. This shop, which has served me well over the years, deserves only the best. I have this wall taped and prepped. I'm gonna be painting it with a satin black by Behr. It's called satin black and it's a satin finish. And then I'm gonna accent the cabinets, that's coming later, with blackout. I think it's looking pretty sweet. Stay tuned for that. And yes, in case you were wondering, this is still a woodworking channel, but sometimes you gotta paint before the fun can begin, in case you were wondering. The question is to blend or not to blend. And since I already bought the multi-surface stain blocking primer and sealer by Behr at the Home Depot, I'm gonna blend it. I'm gonna paint this color the same as this color. I'm gonna apply this first and then put the paint. If you think it's a bad idea, leave a comment. Can I just brag for a moment about how amazing this color is? I can't get over how cool the white looks as it pops off that satin black color. Anyways, I love it. Now that I have this wall prepped and ready to go, I can start building my cabinets. I want to show you a very cool tool that I got from Ink Irma. They sent this to me, and there's going to be an affiliate link in the description if you want one for yourself. This is a tape measure of the 21st century. So let me show you how it works and how I'm going to utilize it for this project. This is not a complete tutorial by any means, but let me show you how I'm going to use this. Right here, you just put it up against the wall and it shoots a laser over there and over there. It has a little level here, so I can just manipulate it a little bit until it reads 0. Once it reads 0 degrees, you just press the button and there you have it. It measures from that to that wall. And right here, we got 133 inches. So now I know from point A to B how much space I'm working with and how wide I can make my cabinets. Because that wall is 11 feet wide, I know exactly how much space I'm working with. So I went into SketchUp and designed the entire cabinet setup. Maple plywood right now in my area is running about 90 bucks a sheet. And in order to build that entire cabinet, I'm gonna probably have to use 5 to 6 sheets of plywood. But I have scrap wood left over from other projects. So I took all the measurements of each one of these pieces and plugged it into cutlistoptimizer.com, and it told me exactly what pieces I could use for what parts of the cabinet, which is amazing. It's gonna save me a ton of money. After putting these pieces in and plugging all the numbers, I was able to come up with the fact that I only need to buy 3 sheets of 4x8 maple plywood, 3/4 inch. So now I know how I can make this for as cheap as possible. Otherwise, it probably would have been almost double the price tag. So 3 times 90 bucks, that's $270. Not too shabby for some shop cabinets. I finished these cabinets about a month ago, and am now looking back, as I edit this video, at an ever so slightly younger me. And at that time, I remember just thinking how eager I was to just get these cabinets completed and up on the wall. Reason being, organization, a better shop. You might know Travis of Shop Nation. His whole channel was founded on this principle, pursuing shop greatness. Will it ever be achieved? I'm not sure it ever will.
I feel like with every shop upgrade comes inspiration for at least 2 more shop improvement ideas. So the pursuit of shop greatness parallels with something Americans are quite familiar with, the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote it and talks about a pursuit of happiness which is declared an unalienable right. An unalienable right is a human right that cannot be violated. He doesn't say we have a right to happiness, but we do have a right to pursue it. Somehow this really crosses over for us woodworkers who are persistently pursuing a better shop, but never content with what we have. We are never finished, and we are always pursuing greatness in our shops. So here you are probably thinking you are just watching me cut a bunch of plywood, but what you are actually witnessing is me just expressing my unalienable right to pursue happiness.
The cross cuts with the track saw are all done with these pieces right here. All I need to do is rip them through the table saw. And in order to keep everything organized because of the scrap wood situation that I have here, I'm gonna do all the cuts on my scrap wood first, get that all done. And then I'm gonna move over to my 4x8 sheet 3/4 inch plywood and get all those cross cuts and rip cuts done. Then I'll have everything all laid out and I can start assembling. I got a lot of work to do.
If you are not familiar with how this typically goes, it was one cut after another. I won't make you watch every cut, but just know when breaking down a bunch of plywood, I typically start with the track saw for the long and large cuts, and then mostly use my table saw, sometimes with my cross-cut sled, and occasionally using my miter saw. I must say, it's nice to have options. Oh, and in case you get a self-esteem boost from other people's failures, let me introduce to you me.
I have made not a fatal error, but an incredibly annoying one. This piece right here is my doors. I cut 35.5 inches on this side and 35 inches on that side. So I now have to shrink my doors by a 1/2 inch, which shrinks a lot of those cuts by a 1/2 inch. All of my cabinets now are not going to be 35.5 inches tall, but 35. So I just want to let you know that I'm suffering inside right now. But it's nothing we can't work through. That's part of woodworking. I'm an idiot. Don't be an idiot like me. Measure twice, cut, whatever. I don't know how it goes, but something like that. Don't mess up.
Throughout this video, you'll notice a lot of labels on everything. On any project, when dealing with a lot of parts, I find labeling everything prevents the most frustrating of all mistakes, and that is looking at a piece and having absolutely no idea what it is for. We've all been there, right? Well, at 44 years of age, I attribute this to wisdom. Wisdom is what happens when knowledge collides with experience. So as you watch me sift through all my pieces of plywood trying to figure out what pieces to cut a 1/2 inch off of, just remember, you'd think with all of my wisdom I would have not made this stupid mistake.
I gotta say, progress is feeling really good right about now with all the pieces cut, all the corrections made. Now I'm just laying out each of the shelves so that when I take it to the table saw to cut those dado grooves, I'm just picking kind of like the best sides that'll be most visible. So these edges will be more visible than these. So this is where I'm gonna cut the dado here and edge band this side. Just got to do this with all of them and then run them through the table saw to cut all the dados so I can fit the back panel in and put it all together. For the last 2.5 to 3 years, everything in this shop has been paid for by you guys watching my videos, which to me is impressive. Because if I didn't have you guys watching these videos, me and my wife would be having a conversation about every single thing I buy here. So it's kind of nice that the support that I get from you just watching the videos, clicking on the affiliate links, buying the tools that I use, that pays for all this stuff. And right now, I'm gonna run all these boards through this table saw to create dado grooves. I don't have a dado stack. But someday, because you guys keep watching these videos, and as this channel grows, I'm gonna get myself a nice table saw with a new outfeed table that's gonna have a dado stack, and it's gonna be a lot easier to do this. But for the meantime, it's one single kerf at a time. And to be honest, I love what I do. It's a lot of fun. So I really don't mind taking the extra time. What I like to do is draw a line right here using the thickness of a piece of plywood, and then I'm gonna make cuts slowly along that line until I creep up on it and do test fits until I get it the perfect fit. Once I get to this distance, at the perfect distance where this is gonna fit in that groove, then I make that repeatable cut with all of the other pieces on the end and work my way in the middle after that. And they all should fit after that. Oh yeah, that's the sweet spot right there. Look at that. Look at that. So now that I have this right here, I just do that for the rest of these cuts. It'll have the middle open, but like I said, just gonna take out that middle portion. And those dados are right smack dab, right where I want them to be. One of the plies just obliterated, so I went looking for the pieces, and while I was on the ground looking for the pieces, I found this, and it's like the perfect little piece of MDF that I can put in here, glue, clamp it, and trim this off, and it will be good enough. Not too shabby. I recently released a video titled, "The Real Reason You Need to Keep Scrap Wood," which explains why I have a strip of maple in these dado grooves. Like I said earlier, I used a lot of scrap wood to make these cabinets, and the middle of the 5 cabinets is the only one where I used a 1/4 inch back panel. Of course, I messed that up too and needed to use even more scrap wood to fix it. Don't bother watching that video, but you can if you want. Before assembling frameless cabinets, which is what these are, I recommend drilling the holes for your door hinges. I used a Craig concealed hinge jig, which made this process about as easy as possible. I prefer to drill my shelf pins prior to assembly as well, and I made this pretty cool shelf pin jig to do it. If you're interested, I have a link to plans down below in the video description. You can also watch that video too. As much effort as I have put into outfitting this shop, there is a high likelihood that I will move someday and have to set up a new shop elsewhere. And that has everything to do with what you see me doing here. You see, there are multiple ways to assemble cabinets. Many people think you have to use glue, which just isn't true. You can assemble them with everything from just 16 or 18 gauge nails to even screws. But I plan on taking these cabinets with me and am going to install them in my next wood shop. That means removing them from the wall, putting them in a moving van, transporting them likely to another state on a multi-day drive, and then reinstalling them. I may not be the only person involved in the moving process, and whoever touches these cabinets will likely not handle them with the care that I would. So that is why I'm using glue. I want these to last as long as possible. I guess you could say by taking the extra time and effort during the assembly process by applying glue, it's kind of like an insurance policy on the durability of my cabinets. I could always change my mind and just build more cabinets, but for the meantime,
this is the plan. I'm only showing you one cabinet assembly here, so I'll leave it to you to imagine me doing all the rest.
I've been in the middle of some edge banding and the cabinets. I just finished the shelves. So I have the doors I'm gonna do right now, and then I'm gonna do the actual cabinets. I just wanna say, I did a video on this tool right here. This is a fabric cutter that I use for edge banding, trimming off the edges when the pieces are a single panel. When they're in a cabinet shape like that as a box, this isn't as effective. But I just wanna say, this thing right here is a game changer. It cuts so smoothly. Look at how these lines come out so crisp and so close, and they sand down so awesome. So check this tool out. This is not a edge banding tool, but I use it for one, and I gotta say, I love it. Also, I purchased 250 feet right over here of maple edge banding. I don't know how much I'm gonna need, but I think this was like 40 or 50 bucks, and I know I'm gonna eventually use it, if not for this project, for other projects as well.
I have released way more than my fair share of edge banding videos, so I won't go into depth in this video, but I will leave a link to a playlist of videos where I uncover more about edge banding than any single person ever even knew existed on the topic.
The edge banding came out pretty darn good. I must say I was quite pleased. So I'm excited to move on to the next phase, and you can see all the cabinets here looking quite spiffy. I need to put the trim around the edges on the bottom, and I got my SketchUp plan right here, which I just orientated in the place where I could see it. Gives me a better idea of where they can go because I can't remember these things. So I'm gonna create some miters so that those corners look really nice. That's what we're gonna shoot for.
These trim pieces make all the difference. The visual it creates adds so much more to look at without even really knowing it. They also create a recessed space under the cabinets where I can install lighting if I ever want to, which I can definitely see me doing when I build the miter saw station underneath. Also, take note how I install the trim. I'm not applying edge banding first, but I'm shooting 2-inch 18 gauge nails right into the end grain of the plies. That way I can edge band later and you won't even be able to see any of the holes.
We're getting so close to getting these on the wall. I just need to edge band any of the exposed plywood that I don't want to see on the project. I gotta do a little bit of sanding so for some of that wood filler that we filled in those holes, and those things are going up there. So, man, I'm too excited. I'm too excited. I gotta get this all done.
I tend to romanticize the idea of hanging anything and everything on a French cleat, and these cabinets are no exception. If your wall is completely flat, then this can work out. And I say can in air quotes. But my wall had a bend in it, so I had to abandon the French cleat idea on the 4th and 5th cabinets, and I just used regular square cleats with shims. If you are hanging cabinets, you should probably consider connecting the sides of the cabinets to each other with a screw so there are no gaps in between the cabinet sides and everything looks flush and plumb. Sadly, for the 5th and far right cabinet, I had to remove some of my hard work with a jigsaw to make room for my electrical conduit. And if you're wondering, Logan, why didn't you just make the cabinets a couple inches smaller so they would fit better? Well, my answer to that is, haven't you been watching this video or any of my other videos? I make mistakes all the time. It's on brand. I installed the cabinet hinges with a Craig concealed hinge jig, which made this process super easy. And I found these frameless cabinet hinges on Amazon that have every feature that you can imagine for super cheap. They open 110 degrees, they have 3-direction adjustability, and they are soft close. I picked up a pack of 40 for $1.82 a piece. They come in a variety of amounts, so check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description. I'll have links to pretty much everything you see in this video, as well as digital build plans for these cabinets, so if you want to build these cabinets, then it's just a click away. I know I can make some bonehead mistakes, but attaching the doors was not one of them. I made this simple dummy-proof jig to attach the doors and did a whole video just on this topic, so I won't go into it here, but you can check it out whenever you like. And if you were disappointed that the grain direction isn't all going in the same direction, don't worry. I don't think it'll matter once you see the final outcome, so stay with me and leave a comment and tell me what you think about the final design.
Okay, so I adjusted them in advance, but I wanted to look nice when I put them up. I just gotta put the shelves in. Forgot about that, so let me do that real quick. All right, there's the shelves. Got them all in. Got them all in. Looking sharp, but we are not done yet because I gotta put the handles on. But before I put the handles on, I'm gonna do something that a lot of you are probably not gonna like. I know these cabinets look beautiful, but we're gonna paint them. But not all of them, just part of them. And Dude Sawdust style, I like to add a little flair, like some of my other shop projects. So bear with me. It's the garage. I can do what I want. And if it looks horrible, then whatever. We'll be fine.
In my family, there are some very talented artists. My son Jonas, who is 14 years old, won Male Art Student of the Year at his junior high school last year. And he has been drawing since he could hold a pencil. Even his art teacher frequently shows off his art to his other students in the other classes, and he is also heavily involved in his digital video class, always working on a movie with his friends or special extracurricular school project for his freshman class. He even helps edit all of my non-project videos for this channel. And then there's my older brother Brock, who basically started in the same trajectory as Jonas with all of his countless hours drawing and making movies in his youth. He is a super talented artist who has a published comic strip called Super Fogies with multiple books and graphic novels. Google it, you'll see. It's about superheroes when they get old and retire to an old folks home. And now he is a filmmaker who screenwrote and directed his first nationwide theater release called The Shift, which debuted December of 2023. And not to forget my other brother Tyler, who paints and draws as well. He doesn't have any big credits to his name, but his Facebook friends get to see his amazing creations now and then. So why am I bragging about my talented family? Well, it's clear the artistic gene skipped me somehow. So this is my attempt at least something. I struggle with design, but woodworking stretches me into improving my artistic prowess. This honestly is about as good as it gets. I've reached the limit of my talent. But to be honest, I'm quite proud of the final result. And I love coming into my shop to admire my work. But if you're going to compare what I do to my son and my brothers, let's be honest, it's pretty jaded.
I may never be the artist that my son is, or even my brothers, but for someone with no artistic ability, I think it came out pretty cool. I created a space that I enjoy spending time in because I do spend some serious time here. This next video right here is a complete doubling of my wood shop, which you're gonna wanna check out. And also I got coming up a shop tour. Can't miss that. I know you guys love shop tours, and this is my first one ever. So check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.